Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching in the world. Now we are live in Getting Started in Crypto and on YouTube and on X. We're not on Instagram today because I forgot. So welcome to the weekly wrap up. Now I've put up some requests yesterday and I've got a whole heap of alts that I'll be looking at today. If you're in the chat, please add any. If I get time, I'll get to those as well. And hopefully my microphone looks like it's turned on today, so I'm actually, you can hear me, which is nice. And hopefully this month the market is going to pick up, because it's been the worst bull run ever, especially for alts. BTC's done all right. Ethereum's been horrible and the alts have been horrible. And let's just jump straight in and have a look at what Bitcoin is doing. So bear with me as I change the screens. There we go. So this is Bitcoin at the moment. So if this is an impulse and not a corrective wave, then we're at the 236. We're on a support, and that's quite a nice correction for a bull run. So this could go up from here. Couple of potential patterns. If it's coming back down, obviously it can go to about 97, can go to 93, can go even lower. This support here, which has been tested, may just not get tested again. So this might be it. So depending on what happens this week. Now we've got FOMC meetings coming up. We've got interest rates, and that is happening over the next 2 weeks. So this is going to set the scene for what happens in crypto for the next few months. I believe we're about to take off. This is the calm before the storm. And if we get that rate cut that we've been anticipating, then this is going to be really, really good for crypto. So expect some volatility across the market as that kind of sorts itself out. Before the FOMC, we might get one more dip and then we're off. Now we want to be watching for those tether prints. Again, we haven't seen any of those over the last week or so because it's just been correcting and just stagnating across the board. So we're seeing everyone get really impatient in their alts and pulling out of those. So if we go to the BLX, we can see that this wave here has had a really nice pullback to the 236, still potential to move up. Corrections are a normal part of every trading strategy. So don't get overwhelmed if you're new and it's gone red, then this is normal. This happens. It will go green again soon, and then we'll all have that euphoria again. But this is quite a normal, natural pattern. Now, if this was still part of a deeper corrective pattern, then it will probably come back and retest at 786, which is 82. So this is going to depend on what happens with tariffs, what happens with the FOMC this week. So I do think we're going to get that rate cut. It looks like it's going to happen. We've had them in Australia, so I think the US has to follow. So the next major resistance, as I keep telling you, is 122. So if you're still holding here, I think that next major resistance is 122. That might just absolutely smash through, but it's a really, really sound sort of region to have some orders, like some sell orders. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Once it gets to that region, it's either going to come back down and do a larger correction, or it's just going to sit at that top and just clear out the shorts. Either way, you'll be able to buy a dip in that region, I believe. So when we go to the Bitcoin dominance, we're on the rise again. So this is a really strong sign that we're about to have some tether prints. We're about to get that rate cut, and Bitcoin's about to move upwards. So it's looking quite strong at the moment. So when we go back to this Bitcoin chart as well, if it's going to load up, it's just decided it's not going to load up. Let me just refresh that and see if I can get it to load. My internet's decided to go really slow, so sorry about that. If you are watching, this is going to load even less now. Let me go to a different chart. I'll head to the total and just have a look where we're at with that. Now, if this is a corrective wave, we're potentially come back for a one-to-one on this wave. So that's a really nice correction. Now, the next point of interest on the total is 3.35 trillion. Now, if there's a rejection at that point, there's going to be a rejection across the board because that's a resistance. So if we can't break through that resistance first time, it's going to take a couple of times to get through. So that's why I'm saying this is going to be a volatile week, because there's a couple of sort of key points that we're looking at across the market, especially on the total crypto market cap, where we've got this resistance point coming up. It's untested at the moment, so it is likely to be tested this week or early next week. Let's just see if my chart. So what we're seeing here at the moment, MACD, we've got easing sell pressure. We haven't had a cross on the MACD. This is the daily. We have had a cross on the stock RSI, and we look like we're just coming down for one more touch on the actual RSI, and there's a strong bullish divergence still on this chart. So that to me says that we've got some momentum happening this week. Bitcoin at the moment has a strong resistance like we saw on that total crypto market cap at 110,000. So that's an area to watch. So basically what we might see is a bit of a correction in this region and then heading up. So that's our potential for BTC at the moment. So 110 is a key zone to break through, just as we saw on the total, that 3.35 trillion up at this region. So DXY is playing havoc with the market, has been. It hit and it's come back down. So we want this to break lower. It hasn't completed its pattern as yet, but we do want it to break lower and head down to 96 or even 94. So that would be ideal for crypto to continue up. If we get a rate cut, it might sort of show a bounce on the DXY. So that is likely to be at that 110K mark for Bitcoin, and that 3.35 trillion on the total. So they're going to correlate as well, and that always happens. Ethereum, this is the ETH BTC pair. Now, it has been just correcting nicely. So this is our A, this is our B. We're currently in a C, so we might get one more retest of that 100 MA before we do head up for ETH. And the ETH pair here is looking lovely. So I'm just going to take that fib off, but it is holding the medium line. It may come down a little bit lower to either between so the 2378 to the 2277. So that's an area to put some orders. Although the stock RSI has already crossed, it's just here and still a little bit of bearish divergence. So that's why I'm saying Ethereum might have one more wave down before it heads up. So looking good. And I'm going to quickly jump into the alts. But first, I need to remind you guys that Femex do give us free signals, or they pay you guys to have our signals. And if you use our referral code HLRVM8 and you head to Getting Started in Crypto, you head to the free signals, you fill out the details, deposit $1,000 and you can trade. So, and you'll get signals from our amazing signals person in at Getting Started in Crypto, and you'll be in huge profit. So over the last, we've been offering this for about, I think, 4 or 5 months, and we've been tracking it, and he trades all the signals live. So he's about 440% up on those signals and that's with stop losses and everything. So head across to Getting Started in Crypto, check out the free signals, sign up to Femex with our referral code. Now, if you're already on Femex, you have to use this referral code. So you need to create a new account. You'll be able to do that with this link. And yeah, make sure you get into those free signals. All right, now jumping into alts. These are all requests that I've had through either Getting Started in Crypto or on Twitter or X. Sorry, I always call it Twitter. So HBAR, I think this is about to take off and do about 80%. So this first target here is at a resistance. Now that's about 13%, so it's at about 18 cents. And then once it's broken through that region, it looks like it's absolutely going to take off. All the indicators are showing that HBAR is about to move. So a lot of the alts either have one last pattern or they're about to move. So XRP has retested this breakout zone. That's quite nice. The only thing that I don't like about this is that the 100 and the 200 MAs have crossed down. They do tend to sort of, twirl and sort of go sideways as XRP consolidates. We can see in this region that is what happened. When we go to the lower time frame charts, I'm going to drop it down to the hourly. We're just sort of fighting with those MAs at the moment. Once that breaks through, then it's going to be game on for XRP. Now, this might have one more retest to this region, so potential about 2.08 for XRP, and then it might just take off from there. But as soon as it can cross these indicators, 100 and 200, especially on the hourly, it's going to be game on. TRX, this is the pattern I drew last week, still in pattern, still looking lovely. I'm still in this trade. I'm going to be holding until about this region unless it comes back down and hits my stop loss, but it's looking really good at the moment. Super slow trade for TRX. Mudang, this was for Den on X, and he's also in the group. So this was posted for you in the group as well earlier to this morning. So this has come back to the 0.05 for Mudang. That's a really nice correction for this wave pattern. So it still has huge bullish divergence. It does look like the meme coins are about to take off as well. So they are going to be ones to watch. So Mudang looks really good to be moving very soon. When we drop this down to an hourly, it's got some strong bullish divergence on it here. And same as with XRP, potentially one last pullback. That's going to come in with that volatility that we're going to see with the FOMC. And then we should be taking off across the board. So a little bit more patience with a lot of these charts, and then we should be going. Hype. This is one Hyperliquid that I've had on here a couple of times. Now, we seem to be changing momentum on this. We haven't crossed up on the MACD yet. We've still got strong bearish divergence, which to me, this is still corrective. So even if we get a bounce, it's probably going up to that 37 point and then coming back down to retest the 100. Hasn't retested that 100 for quite some time, so that's probably on the cards. So potentially just an A, a B, and a C, and then heading up from there. So that might be our bounce this week. One more sell-off for this one, and then a continuation. If it crosses that pivot, again, it's going to be heading up from there. CAS looks to be finished correction and just pulling back on this wave. Now, if we put some fibs on that, it has come back to the golden zone. Now, that's a nice correction for this. Nice correction for anything. It still has bearish divergence on the daily. So if I drop that back down to the hourly, we can see again, it's another one that's fighting with those MAs, has touched it though. So a little bit more strength than the other charts are showing. And if it can break through and hold this region and get up to that 200, that's a really nice move for this one. And that means it'll probably hold the low. And that was the finish of that correction. Does look to have enough waves. The pivot on this one is about 0.101. So that's a region to watch when it starts moving higher. But looking pretty good at the moment. Tau, which is one that I looked at last week, has pulled back to the 382. Looks like it has a complete ABC unless we get a DE wave, but does look to be looking quite nice. SWI has one more wave to go. So I don't think the pattern is complete here. So I think it's got one more wave, should touch the 0.05 at about 3, and then it should take off. Still has bearish divergence. Could see a small bounce here because we are seeing easing sell pressure, but that may only hit that 200 MA, come back down, test the 100, and then take off. So a bit of a choppy week ahead, I think, with that FOMC. Pepe, one that I looked at last week, came back down, has tested the 100 MA, which is where I said it would potentially go last week. That's a 0.05. And, if you were in that and, decided to take a short, this is probably the time to start sort of flipping these trades and to start sort of changing direction, because I don't think it's going to be far away before we start moving. And then I've got Sol. Let me grab that. Excuse my internet being super slow today. Okay, so Solana has got a signal on it in getting started in crypto. Looking quite nice. Fell out of that channel. That's not a problem. This is a larger fourth wave correction. So when we're looking at that correction, we're going to put some fibs on that. Might actually be a full wave correction. So 0.05 is sitting around the 100 MA. So potentially one more wave to go. Might head up first. Pivot on this one is sitting at about 168. So could go 168, come back down to that 141, and then take off. It does look like that's kind of where it's heading at the moment. Now the next one, and I've got one more chart, ADA. So let's bring that up. So across the board, we're looking like we're going to have a choppy week, and we're seeing that pullback come back for when we get that FOMC meeting. So we've got initial sort of meetings this early in the week, and then heading towards next week, we should have that announcement, and then we will know where we are going. All right, I'm going to look at the USDT pair. Now, this is a 4-hour chart. Let me have a look at where we are. We've got 5 waves there, so that's nice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just see where we've got our fibs pulling back. So we want, when we're putting fibs on, for those that have been asking me, I've had a few messages. We look for the swing low and the swing high of that particular wave pattern. And then we can assess whether it's mid-fib or it's reached the whole correction. This one still is sort of mid-fib. So that means potentially we're coming maybe back up to retest that pivot, which is at 71, and then coming back down to that golden zone. So the golden zone is the 0.65 to the 618. And so one more. So again, we might see that volatility where we're heading up and then heading down and then heading back up. So that's the potential. A lot of these have bullish divergence on these lower time frames, which to me says we've got a bounce coming. Many of the charts for the alts are very, very oversold. So that does sort of see that momentum happening. When we go down to these lower ones, we're starting to see those crosses happening. So we want that 100 and that 200 to cross, and that's going to be when we start to see that momentum. We'll get that bounce to that region and then that pullback again. So that's kind of everything that we're seeing across the board for all of the alts. Small bounce, potential to make a little bit of money this week, and then a pullback again, and then we're off. And then we should get that interest rate cut, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we will be off and running. So yeah, looking good. So that's it for the weekly wrap up. Thank you for joining me. And I will be in Getting Started in Crypto. I'll be on X, and I try to reply to everyone if I can. So if you've got any questions, or you sort of need some charts or something like that, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I will do my best to get to those. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you next week.